Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Mission Employable podcast. My name is Ben Oldak, and I am your host. Kathy Leggett, my co-host, is headed to the western part of the state today for a meeting and can't be here, so I'm going to be holding everything down for the both of us. However, while we may only have one host today, we have two guests joining the podcast. Joining us today is Lacie Kraft, Workforce Coordinator for IWD's Rapid Response Program, and Chad Pierce, Business Engagement Consultant from our Des Moines, Iowa Works office. Thank you for coming in to the podcast today.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us. Excited to be here.
Absolutely. Now, the reason that we brought you guys in today is to discuss what happens when a company goes through a mass layoff. You know, we have Yellow Corp, which has been in the news recently. It's a big national transportation freight company, and they've recently filed for bankruptcy, and it's laying off hundreds of workers across the country, really. And we thought now would be a good time to discuss what Iowa Workforce Development's role is in all of this, and how it centers around a program that we call Rapid Response that we engage with when a company goes through something like this. So, first of all, Lacie, I wanted to ask you just if you could explain what Rapid Response is.
Yeah, Rapid Response is a proactive, business-focused strategy to help the employer in one of two ways. The first one is we want to be proactive and work with that business to prevent the layoff or closure from even happening. Or if the company gets to the point where they do decide they have to do layoffs or closing, we want to rapidly come out and work with these workers and to get them back into the workforce just as quickly as possible.
Yeah, and what kind of what elements of that do we put out there? What kind of services do we offer when a company goes through something like this?
When we go out and work with the employers, we're going to first meet with the employer first and determine what it is that the employee needs. We're going to gather some information about the demographics, when we can come out and work with the employers, where we're going to do that at, and really help the workers get back into the workforce just as quickly as possible. If we're able to work with the employer before the layoff and prevent it from happening, we're going to come out and work with them about what is it that they need. Is it that they need to do just some short-term layoffs and maybe just lay people off for a short period of time and use our voluntary work share program through our unemployment site? Are we going to come out there and really what they need to do is upskill some current employees into what we call incumbent worker training, where we take a group of workers or a couple workers, whatever it is that the employer is needing, and train them to move up within the company and learn new skills and traits, and then backfill those positions maybe with some other job candidates that we have within our American Job Centers. So whether it's proactively, you know, we really want to be at the table ahead of time and really working with you and having those conversations. But if we do get to the point of a layoff, we will come out and help those employees find jobs just as quickly as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to come back to some of those preventative measures a little later on. But when you guys go out there to help these workers who are being laid off, what does that look like when you're in there helping them at their place of business?
Yep. So we're going to call that, what we call that is our worker information meetings. We're going to come out and first we're going to work with the employer. We're going to come out to the employer job site if the employer has space. Best results usually is that we go out there and meet right at your work site. We get the most employee engagement coming out. But when we're out there, we're going to talk to them about their unemployment, because I think that's one thing that they all want to know about right away.
Sure.
When you lose your job,
Yeah,
how am I going to have some money coming in right now?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then we're going to talk about what's your next steps, right? So are you interested in just finding employment? So if you're just interested in finding employment, let us help you with your resume. Maybe you haven't done an interview in a long time, so let us sit down and do a mock interview with you, right? So just getting you back into the workforce as quickly as possible, potentially doing some, job leads, letting you know who's hiring in the local areas. Or we have some other programs as well. So our dislocated worker program can assist people in going back and upskilling and going into training. Or maybe it's just some on-the-job training you need to get into a new position. So there's definitely a lot of different ways we can work with you and get you back into the workforce. We'll also bring in other partners and organizations our other partners. If maybe you need English classes, we're going to connect you with our partners there. Maybe you didn't get your HiSET because your employer that you've worked at for the last 25 years didn't require it and you just never finished it. So we can connect you to get to our other partners as well and get you back into this training and schooling for that as well. So we're really going to customize it depending on what that employer needs. We also have what I like to call our expanded services on it as well. We'll also do a job fair. If that's what the employer needs, we'll work with our local AJCs, our business consultants, and have them set up job fairs, because as soon as a layoff happens, right, just when we got word this yellow truck happened, I don't know how many, like my phone was blowing up, Chad's phone was probably blowing up, everybody around the state, their phone, employers want to get to these workers and want to know
Right.
how to connect with them. So we can put on those job fairs. We can also do workshops right on site. So maybe it is just a group resume workshop or an interviewing workshop, but whatever really that business determines that those employees need is what we're going to go out and do.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, Chad, coming over to you now, I just wanted to talk a little bit about some of the specifics that we're doing with Yellow Corp and what employers and employees can expect from that.
Absolutely. So kind of as Lacie was saying, when this came down from Yellow Corp, it was a great opportunity to, not only keep the over 200 impacted workers in Iowa, keep them in our state, but also over 30,000 people were impacted nationwide. So we really want to showcase the state of Iowa as a great opportunity for these people to relocate. We are, like Lacie said, holding a job fair today. A little bit too late once this airs to make that, obviously, but we've got over 15 employers that are going to be there talking to Yellow Corp individuals and anybody else that's interested in the transportation industry. So if you miss out on the job fair, you can definitely get in touch with us. We'll be happy to connect you with these great employers who are just looking to provide excellent opportunities in the transportation industry.
Yeah, and I wanted to also talk a little bit about the webinar that we're hosting. If you could kind of give us a little bit of information on that.
Sure, absolutely. So on September 6th, we are going to have a webinar. It's a nationwide webinar for not only Yellow Corp individuals, but anybody that wants to attend to learn more about what it is to live in Iowa, work in Iowa, and then the great opportunities that we have here. So that's going to be on the 6th, and we invite anybody that's interested to join us. We're going to have a few employers here in Iowa talking about some of the great relocation packages and incentives that they offer to people that are willing to relocate. We have over 500 positions in tractor and heavy trailer jobs, but not only the trucking industry, but also all these corporations have, customer service, logistics, warehouse. So there's tons of opportunities, not just for truck drivers with their CDL, but anybody that's interested in getting involved. We've got some great opportunities for you.
Yeah, and I wanted to talk a little bit about the some of the perks that we have for people coming over that want to transfer their CDL. Can you explain that?
Absolutely. So one of the great things about a CDL driver in the state of Iowa is that if you're licensed in another state, you can come in and you've got up to 30 days from when you come to Iowa to register to get that license renewed in the state. You don't have to test again. So you can keep all your licensure credentials if you move to the state within 30 days. We think that's a great perk if someone that's wanting to try something new in Iowa. You don't even have to retest for the CDL, so a great thing there.
For people who want to even move into a driving position that previously weren't drivers, there's a lot of opportunity there for them as well in Iowa.
Absolutely. So great pay, great benefits for these jobs, and one of the greatest perks is many of the companies here in Iowa will actually pay for you to train and obtain your CDL license. I know of several that will do that. You can start as an employee, get your CDL license, get all the professional training that you need, and then when you're finished with that, there's a job on the road for you. So if you're worried about training opportunities, we have those, and we'd love to have you.
Yeah, and also this webinar is going to feature some people who moved to Iowa.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll be a part of the webinar. I'm an Iowa transplant myself, so just kind of talk about some of the great things that we have in the state, that not only the strong workforce, but also the cost of affordable living, and then just the great people here in Iowa.
Yeah.
It's a great place to be.
Yeah, I'm a fellow transplant as well. As if people didn't know, I'm from Maryland originally, and I never thought I'd be in the Midwest. And it's great. It's wonderful. The people are great. There's a lot of art and culture here that you might not expect, and it's only getting better. I mean, the cities around Iowa, I feel like, have only grown since I've been here and have only added more and more things. So it's a wonderful place to be if you're looking for work. I wanted to get back a little bit to you, Lacie, and some of the preventative measures that we have when companies potentially looking to go into layoffs. You mentioned both kind of a work sharing program and the incumbent training program, and I kind of wanted to break both of those things down.
Yeah. So our voluntary work share program is through our unemployment division. So that really looks at if an employer is needing to do a short-term layoff, maybe they need to reduce hours 20%, 30% across it to keep the workers employed, right? Because you don't want to build back up and then have to go out and find people and train them again. But you just need to lay off maybe for a short period of time. That's our voluntary work share program. So the employees work and get a partial paycheck from you, then they get a partial unemployment paycheck from us. So keeping them in with your company and working during that time. So that's a great program. I think highly underutilized in the state of Iowa, that can help you keep your workforce.
Yeah, and there's so many advantages to that, right? You don't have to pay for any more retraining, or you don't have to look for people that, have the skills that, the old employees used to have. Like, you're able to keep your workforce in place and kind of split the difference.
Correct. Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. And so talk to us a little bit about the incumbent training program.
Yeah, so incumbent worker training is another proactive approach, right? So if you're looking at your workforce and you're needing to upskill some workers, or as technology changes and you need to train people on new things, that's what we call incumbent worker training. We take your current workforce, a current group, a couple people, whatever it is that employer is needing, and upskill them. This can be training that you'll work out with our local areas or across the state to determine what program it is that you need. It might be just a short term, couple week leadership training. It could be some new additional welding skills. But we always want to look at this as an approach that, maybe a registered apprenticeship also isn't the best avenue for you to go, because it is just a short term. Less than 1 year is what that incumbent worker training is looking at. We want to get the people in, get them skilled, get them upskilled for you, so therefore you're able to diversify your workforce and get those skills that you're needed in. So there is a little bit of cost to that one,
sure.
Where a lot of our other programs are at no cost to employers. It is a training opportunity, and so depending on the number of workers you have in your company, it's anywhere from 50% all the way up to 90% reimbursable. So there's a couple local areas right now, Mississippi Valley, Northeast Iowa, and the state particularly, that are really getting this going up and going, because we just haven't done this a lot in the past. So it's something that, we hear from employers that there's a need, and so it's something that we're, getting up and going. It's not new across the United States at all. It's just we hadn't done it in Iowa here for a while.
And how does that upskilling working? Like, do we work with like local community colleges, or do we work with individualized trainers to provide these services? How does that work?
Yep. So we're going to work with a company, and it's going to be customized to them. So it might be at a community college that they need to take a short course. It might be something that they need to bring in a trainer, a leadership trainer from somewhere that needs to be, 2 weeks. We're really going to work with you individually, and it's what that company needs that we're going to work with you on.
Yeah, absolutely. Are there times of the year where these mass layoffs are more common than others, and maybe employers here need to keep an eye out for those times of the year to be proactive in their hiring of potential people?
Yep. So in the state, we get them the entire year, right?
Sure.
But really looking over the last few years, April, May, and June are really our heaviest times where we get the most amount of notices that companies are closing. And really that's just due to them looking at their own financial information. Are they still a viable company or not? So that's the busiest time. But now that, again, I say this, get back to the office, I'll probably have a bunch of warrants here on my desk.
How it works.
Or layoff notices on my desk. So yeah, definitely just bring us into your conversations. Work with your local business engagement consultants that every American Job Center has, every Iowa Works Center, if that's what you're more familiar with them being called. Really work with them, because it really is building that relationship with us and letting us be here and being your resource and letting you know what's out there.
Yeah, and this is a service, like you said, that's customized, and it could be one employee, it could be hundreds of employees. Talk about a little bit the size issue here. I know that there's some WARN Act information that needs to be out, but
Yep.
These are services that can be tailored to companies of any size.
Yes. So rapid response services, us coming out and working with you, getting the employees back into the workforce, we can come out for one person, we can come out for 500 people. Just let us know, communicate with us, and we'll customize it to you. Might be just dropping off some packets of information of what's going on, or it might be coming out and us doing those worker information meetings and sitting down with your employees one-on-one in a group or one-on-one. So we're just really going to customize that for you and just let us know.
Yeah. And Chad, what's it like going out and working with some of these employees? I mean, I got to know that it's probably a stressful time, but at the same time, there probably is some sort of sense of relief that they have all these services available to them.
There is. And the most important thing there, Ben, is just, letting them know that we're here to help and what's available. So if you come into any of our Iowa Works centers throughout the state, our career planners will work one-on-one with you. And then our business engagement consultants throughout the state, we have relationships with lots of businesses. We try to uncover their needs and see what they're needing. So if we work with our career planners and try to find a good fit for individuals that are coming in looking for work. In the case of the Yellow Corp, it's just a great opportunity to reach a lot of people that were impacted and let them know that we're here to help, let them know how they can get connected with resources.
Yeah, and I know earlier Lacie was saying your phones were kind of blowing up when this was going on. What was that like for you guys?
So, like we're saying, it's never a dull moment, and things happen rapidly in our industry. So it really is that we put in the work beforehand. I think that's one of the key elements of rapid response is that, Lacie and her team working with, having to avoid having to lay people off. But in the case that it's absolutely necessary, we just want to connect and provide those resources. So if we're working with businesses and when something like this happens, we can come up with a list of employers who are ready to hop in and provide any information that anyone needs as far as the great opportunities that they have.
Yeah, absolutely. And so coming to the end of this episode, I just wanted to kind of go over some of the contact information that we have here. So if you're an employee and you're looking to either join this webinar or get in touch with us, how's the best way to reach out?
So if you're looking to join the webinar or get in touch, a few different ways to do that. You can visit our website at www.IowaWorks.gov. We can also take a look at www.thisisIowa.com. All of our American Job Centers have Facebook pages, so that's really a good way to get in touch locally in your area. Just be facebook.com/IowaWorks and then the name of the city. So the one in Des Moines, Iowa Works Des Moines. If you wanted to give us a call, you can reach us at 515-281-9619. Anyone that's looking to, any employees that are looking to get involved, we'd love to visit with you.
Yeah, and as far as the employers, obviously working hand in hand with the business engagement team is crucial for this. How can they get in touch with you guys?
So business engagement team, you can call our dedicated business engagement line. It's 833-469-2967. That line is open Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. And, Vonnie usually mans that line. She's fantastic. She knows everything there is to know.
One of my favorite people at
Iowa
IowaWorkforce Development.
So you call and talk to Vonnie.
Yeah.
I promise you won't regret it.
Yeah. And the business engagement team, I know we've talked about this on other podcast episodes, but it's not just about rapid response. There's so many different services that we have available for employers.
Oh, absolutely. We want to connect with employers, and not only for recruiting, but we want to let them know the training resources that are available, and just make sure that everyone in Iowa has what they need in order to be successful from the workforce perspective.
Yeah, and before we go, I wanted to just one more thing over with you, Lacie, is that this is a part of a national effort to get these people rehired. Can you talk a little bit about that and how that all came to be?
Yeah, so once we heard that Yellow Corp was laying off, the people in my positions across the United States, the rapid response coordinators, we all came together and had a meeting and discussed, what contact information we had with the company, what we're doing to help them. And then when we came up with this podcast, or not the podcast, the webinar. I went ahead and shared that flyer out to all those rapid response coordinators across the United States, really.
Yeah.
And then they're sharing it out with the workers, letting them know that Iowa has this webinar coming up where they'll have job opportunities and being able to share with you how to come to Iowa and find a job. So we're not only recruiting or trying to keep the people in Iowa, the 200 that lost employment here, but we're also recruiting to bring other people into the state. So
yeah, what a cool effort. A lot of collaboration there, I feel like, and that's a cool thing that we offer here in Iowa.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
yeah, another pitch to come to the great state of Iowa. We've got trucking jobs available. We've got logistical jobs available in the transportation industry. We are a place to be if you want to get back to work. So, guys, thank you so much for coming to the podcast. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
A lot of great information that I think will be super useful, not just for this potential layoff incident, but for future ones down the line. So,
yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Thanks, guys, so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.